Hello, private practice owners. This is Lisa Wozniak with Woz Marketing. We are in for another episode of Private Practice Owners of the Month. And this month, we're happy to be joined by Saber Fatnassi of Saber Waves Coaching. I've had the privilege of knowing Saber for a while now, a few years, and have continually been impressed by his ability to form relationships and partnerships with other people in his field in order to not only help them grow their practice, but to grow his own by humongous leaps and bounds. So I wanted to give you a little bit of information about Saber before we get started. Saber grew up inspired by iconic achievers in sports, business, and leadership. He knew that in order to be successful, he would have to figure out what all of these people had in common. Is it knowledge of certain secrets? Is it resources and upbringing? Or is it a natural gift that only the select few are blessed with? None of the answers for those questions made sense to him, so he grew up to realize that while success stories seem similar at first, they are as different at their core as their owners. But two things stood out. Successful people work smarter, not harder, and successful people master the process to achieve consistent results. So, folks, this is Saber Fatnassi of Saber Waves Coaching. Welcome, Saber.
Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate you having me on your episode. I'm hoping I would be of benefit to your audience.
Oh, I'm sure that you will. With that in mind, as I mentioned in the intro, one of the things that I've always admired about you, Saber, is you have a very giving spirit about you. You've always been very kind and giving with everyone that you come in contact with, and have always gone that extra mile to help others out, whether it's helping them with their business, with their practice, or helping them with specific projects or partnerships. And in doing so, in your giving spirit, you've done great things to grow your practice as well. You've got a performance coaching practice and have helped countless individuals. Can you talk a little bit more about how you help people in your practice?
Well, first, thank you for your lavish introduction. I appreciate that. I don't know if I can actually talk about people I helped. It's not of me to talk about how I helped others. But if we can talk about how others actually probably benefited, and I benefited as well, because when you work with others, when you start by giving, we all can feel that. It's energy. And when I say energy, I'm not talking about the voodoo or the Zen thing necessarily. I'm just talking about the energy that we all know when you're sitting somewhere and all of a sudden somebody walks into the room and you either feel something great came to you or just kind of the energy was sucked out of the room. That's what I'm talking about. So when people come to you or when you present yourself as a giver from the beginning, people naturally feel that and they are welcoming your reactions and they will reciprocate what you do. So that's how I try to start in a relationship, not because I want to impress or want to tell them, hey, I'm here, I'm going to do something for you, so do it back for me. No, it's generally, really, I want to do something that is good for you, and I know when it is good for you, it will come back to me as good. And if it's not now, it may be 10 years down the road. That's not a problem. But as soon and as long as I know you've benefited, I'm happy, and I am really willing to do it again and again and again because I know it pays off to everybody. It's a win-win.
Absolutely. And you know, in this day and age, unfortunately, there are so many practitioners that operate from a scarcity mindset. You know, they're afraid that if they're going out of their way to help someone else out, or to help someone else build their practice, or help someone with their marketing efforts, whatever the case may be, in doing so, they're afraid that that's going to take away from their own growth. They're afraid that they'll lose their own momentum and their own business in doing so. So my question, Saber, is if can you remember back or recall a time where you had this mental mind shift that says, hey, giving is where it's at, and this is the way to grow my business?
Sure. And if I was to be honest about answering the question, it did not honestly come with the business. It came with my life. I learned such a thing from the most amazing man, and I talk about him whenever I was invited to talk anywhere. I learned this from the most amazing man I met in my life, from my grandfather. And that's who he was. And I learned that by you just give and things will come back to you. So you don't do because you want things to come back to you. No, you give because that's the right thing to do. So I think that stayed with me. When I came into business, I think that also followed me. So I didn't invite it anyway, but it was there. Now you mentioned private practices; they find it challenging or maybe scary to share such a thing, or just to do joint ventures or start by giving. And that's very natural, by the way. And not to blame them. It's typical in our environment. It doesn't mean it's right. It just means it's typical. It's customary. Why? Because there's a lot of competition and everybody is fighting for their existence. That propagates, as we were talking earlier about the energy, that propagates. So if I was scared inside or I was concerned inside that you may steal something from me, you will sense it without me saying anything. And you will not share anything with me because you know I'm not going to share anything with you. Now, the opposite side, if you knew that I was going to share something with you and I proved to you and I shared with you and I'm not expecting anything, it's one of the laws, is the law of reciprocity. You will do something for me just because you know that I'm not expecting anything back from you. Now, going back to your question, so that started back just with my life. And when I brought it to my business, I think it's been great. It's been phenomenal. And it rewards me on many levels. One, it makes me satisfied as a person. Two, it satisfies the other person in business. And three, it satisfies me in business because sooner or later, that person that I helped or I did something for, somehow they come back and they do something. Somehow. It's just they may refer somebody to me. They may invite me to be in their show. They may write some good review. They may just say hi on holiday. All of it to me is wonderful, and I welcome it. Did I answer your question?
Oh, it absolutely did. And I love the way in which you framed it. You know, you create an atmosphere that allows people to feel safe. You know, like you had talked about the law of reciprocity, about how if I'm going to share something of myself or share something of value to you, I've created this safe space between the two of us that lets you know, hey, I'm not going to rip you off. I'm not going to take this for my own personal gain. I'm giving this to you in a way that helps you out, and I don't expect anything from you in return. This is not dog eat dog or anything like that. This is just me giving from my heart, and people never forget that, do they?
No, they don't. Actually, one instance, and I'm not going to mention any names. Um, I was invited to one of the experienced or the experts panel of peak performance. And as I was speaking, I mentioned something about one of the chapters I wrote in the book I published in 2015. And I said, if anybody's interested in the full story, email me and I will send you the chapter. So this gentleman, and he's a coach. Now he's a coach and he's doing really well in his business. So he emailed me and he said, well, you promised that chapter. Can I please have it? And I said, well, how about the whole book? Would you like to have it as a hard copy or would you like to have it electronic? He said, well, he's a different country. And he said, no, electronic one is just fine. So I sent him the electronic one. Well, the review he wrote on Amazon just made me emotional. The way that he got impacted by what he read, to me, is worth the entire experience of writing the book and publishing the book and spending the book, not just sending him the book or just chapter of the book. That kind of experience does not happen every day. So if it was up to me and I could replicate it every single day, I think I would be a better person.
Absolutely. And it's just, for me, it's just a reminder of, you know, we need to get back to these basic principles of how we treat one another and how we help one another and, you know, encourage and support one another. And it pays dividends. I had a similar experience with a coach not too long ago that had asked me to do something to help promote something that she was releasing into the marketplace. And I said, yeah, sure, I'm happy to do that. And I didn't expect anything in return. And she had a bit of a struggle with every step along the way, saying, okay, well, now what do you want? What do you want from me? What is this going to cost me? In so many words, right? And I was like, nothing. I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do. I'm doing it because you asked me to. And, I would bet dollars to donuts down the road, if I ever needed anything from this woman, she would go out of her way to help me, and it's not that was my intent going into it. You just do it because it's the right thing to do, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're human beings. We're not robots. We're not computers. Unfortunately, we'll learn how to do things like computers do. But we will never be computers. We're human beings. And if you look at any amazing thing that's been done, it's based on human emotions and relationships. It was not done because technology was amazing.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely. So I would love to know, with this approach, and I realize that for you, Saber, that this is just as natural as breathing, because it was the way that you were brought up, and it's cemented in your personality. But I would like to know how this approach impacts the way that you do business.
Sure. How does it impact the way I do business? I guess you're putting me in a place where I need to talk about examples, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'll talk about the most recent one. I recently started, I don't know if we talked about this or not, but recently started a coaching academy. It's called the American Academy of Elite Performance Coaching, where I train coaches to become peak performance coaches, and I train people to become hypnotists and NLP practitioners. So the way I started it and the way I began about it is it's a lot of work to do by myself. And I don't have a large team to have an academy. So the first thing I thought about, okay, so who else can benefit from this? I know a good number of really amazing coaches that they're not necessarily into business, they're not necessarily into marketing, and that hinders them from actually going into the world and benefiting others, not alone making good profit or making good money. It's just when you're a good professional, either a consultant or marketing or marketing or anything, when you're really good, but you don't know how to present yourself to the world, people actually don't have a chance to benefit from you. And you don't have a chance to give people the best of you. So that actually seems to happen to a lot of coaches, especially nowadays. Coaches, hypnotists, NLP practitioners, I call change agents. It happens to a lot of them. So I said, okay, who can benefit from this? And the first question that came to my mind is follow coaches, follow hypnotists. So I contacted people that I know, the people that I trust, the people, when I say I trust, meaning I know they're really good at what they do, and I know that they really want to benefit others. They're not just doing it for the business and the money. They're really doing it because they want to do good things. So I contacted those people, and they're in different places of the world. In Africa, in Latin America, here in the States. Okay, let's do something together. Here's the American Academy, and we want to teach people and make them coaches. How can we do that in your country with the proper cost in your country? So if it's worth $9,000 or $10,000 in the United States, we're not going to say $10,000 in Peru or in Lebanon because it doesn't make any sense. It's too much money. What would be the appropriate amount of money in your country that benefits them, benefits you, and it benefits the academy? And the response, honestly, has been amazing. I have not heard anyone so far saying no, or how am I going to do it, or does this sound promising, or all I hear is yes, 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 yes. Why? Because we came in from the beginning as a win-win. We're not talking about money. We're not talking about your percentage. I'm not talking about my percentage. We're not talking about expenses. No, we're talking about what can we do good for the people, for you, and for us. What can we do good? And so far, it's been amazing. And I'm hoping it gets even bigger and gets better. Does that answer the question?
I'm sure that it will. I'm sure that it will. And I think that's directly related to, like, going back to our original question, I think that's directly related to the fact that you've taken the time and the energy to build substantial relationships with people and to give from your heart and to do it in a way that is authentic and genuine. So as a result of that, you've built this tribe of people all the way around the world who will do just about anything to help you succeed. You know, they've lifted you up, and they're going out of their way to help you accomplish your dreams and help you accomplish your growth. And my gosh, you just can't even put a price on that. I mean, when you think about the alternative in operating from a scarcity mindset about how I've got to hold it all close rather than giving it away and branching out, right? The ripple effect of that. Think about what that would cost if you operated from that scarcity mindset. That's an expensive way of doing business, don't you think?
Absolutely. And actually, we don't have to really think about it or go far or imagine it. We see it.
Good point.
We see it. If any one of us, and I'm hoping that not many who are listening are just practicing that, but if anyone is practicing that, you see it, you feel it. It's not a happy place to be in. It's not a good choice for you or for your business. It's not healthy, number one, and it's not profitable. There's plenty. I know that this sounds like cliche. I know it sounds like cliche. And when I heard it myself, I said, okay, what are they talking about? But I really understand there's plenty. There is plenty everywhere. And I remember actually a couple of years ago, I was coaching someone and they said, well, what do you mean there's plenty? And I'm looking and there's nothing. What do you mean there's plenty? So here's how I explained it. How much do you need to feel comfortable? Well, they said I need to make a couple of $100,000 at least for the first year. How many clients do you need to make a couple of $100,000 every year? If you charge them this much and you know that you're worth that much, if you charge your clients $5,000, $7,000 for the package, how many of those do you need to make? How many clients? Now, if you were to collaborate with somebody else, and instead of doing the one-on-one that you do by yourself and you have to go look for them, if you combine your forces with somebody else and somebody else and somebody else, and do a big event for all the people that they know, you know, and everybody else knows, how many people will show up and how many people will come to you so you don't have to spend the rest of the year looking for them so they can become your clients?
Absolutely.
It's the power of the union. There's plenty. There's a lot. We don't know how to tap into it. And that scarcity pushes it away from us. I know that a lot of people talk about the law of attraction. A lot of people talk about energy. A lot of people talk about the Zen. It sounds good, right? But we as humans, if we don't understand logically, the brain cannot go with it. So when we say, okay, there's a lot and bring good energy, okay, it sounds good, but logically, how do I explain it to myself so I can ride on it, right? So that's how it is logically. By yourself, doesn't matter how much you do, you will never be able to do enough. It's just you're one. There's no way you can do everything. But if you have 4 or 5 people, either your team or your peers or your friends, and just you want to do something, the force is multiplied by 5. A prime example for that is mastermind groups. Why do they exist? The way I do mastermind groups, the number 1 rule and the only rule, if you become part of the mastermind, you are committed 100% to show up every single time. Why? Because if you have that hour or 2 hours of 5 people or 6 people in a mastermind group, if I have a challenge, I have the other 5 people, they're using their brains to solve my problem. So essentially, I have 6 brains in 15 or 20 minutes thinking about one problem. I can spend 2 or 3 days thinking about it, and I would never come to 5 possible solutions. 5 minds or 6 minds can bring me 5 or 6 solutions in 15 or 20 minutes. So I'm hoping that's a logical example that can kind of hit home or can just come close.
Oh, it's just beautiful. I kind of want to take a minute to just kind of revel in all of that. That's just such powerful stuff. I think I want to end on that note so that all of that has the opportunity for everyone to sink in. So, Saber, for people who would love to reach out and experience your greatness, what is the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Well, thank you again for your lavishness. And I'm just a humble human being. My email is support@saberwaves.com. Support@saberwaves.com. They will come to me. If they don't come to me, they come to my assistant. My assistant, if she sees anything addressed directly to me, she passes it directly to me. And I am happy to hear from you anytime, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions at any time.
Again, Saber, thank you so much for your time and your wisdom. This has just been such powerful information that I know that everybody is just going to absorb like a sponge. So thank you so much for your time and spending it with us today.
It is my pleasure. Thank you for having me. I'm hoping that whatever we shared is beneficial to the audience, and I'm looking forward to seeing your amazing success as you have always been.
Thank you so much, Saber. Again, folks, this is Saber Fatnassi of Saber Waves Coaching. And you can reach him. Also, his website is saberwavescoaching.com. Is that correct?
Saberwaves.com.
Saberwaves.com. We'll make sure that we put that in the bottom of the screen, as well as the description and the show notes. And you can get a hold of Saber on his website or through his email. Again, this is Lisa Wozniak with another episode of Private Practice Owners of the Month from Woz Marketing, helping you navigate your yellow brick road. Have a great day.